so I will be literally living out my Love Actually fantasy. Dog casually throwing up behind me. Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Yvette and I moved to the UK 2.5 years ago, and this is my third Christmas in the UK and I'm documenting my experiences. Christmas is fantastic. Christmas is dark and cold, so it's a fantastic time to have a movie night. So I thought I wanted to highlight some of my favourite Christmas films, which also happen to be British. So that's what I thought I'd do in this video, give you some Netflix or wherever you can find them recommendations, because some of them are obscure. But yeah, so these are my top, I'm gonna say 10, but you can count. I'm probably gonna lose count halfway, because I always think of films as I'm discussing it, because I love TV. I love movies and films, movies, cinema, what do you say? So without waffling, I'll jump into it. Number one, I think it goes without saying, I'm just gonna get out of the list so we can break that tension. Bridget Jones's Diary. I need to rewatch this, to be completely honest, because it's been so long, but has the infamous ugly jumper scene. It's set in Christmas time, very much a Christmas film in my opinion. So you can tell me your thoughts below, but yeah, I do think it's funny to watch now, because from my memory she's single at 30 and considered a fail, which is like in this day and age. And she can afford a flat near Borough Market, so like central London, on her own at 30. And that's considered a failure. And you're like, would love to be a failure in 1999 standards. But I digress. Good film nonetheless. I love Colin Firth and I love Hugh Grant, so recommend. A Christmas Carol. The most British story of Christmas there is, I'd say. There are so many iterations of this, but there is one with Patrick Stewart that was filmed in London. So I think that's the one I recommend anyway. It's a bit newer, but there's always like ones from the 70s and 60s. Like it's Charles Dickens, is it not? So it's like quite a long time ago film. So there's many, many versions of it out there you can find. But it's a classic. You have to watch it, and I think it always adds perspective, which probably leads into a lot of New Year's resolutions, past, present, future. But yeah, it's a good egg. The Holiday, another classic. It has Jack Black, Cameron Diaz, Kate Winslet. Once again, questionable about like failures, but an American woman and a British woman switch houses like before Airbnb was a thing, and then romance comedy ensues. It's very cute. It's set in the English side, is set in the Cotswolds, which is beautiful, and she has this beautiful cottage. So it's very idyllic, very Christmassy, very sweet film. I might watch that this year. I think I haven't seen that one the longest, maybe. We'll see. I watched a film last year, which I wanted to put on the list because I think it's newer. It's called The Man Who Invented Christmas. I really enjoyed it. It's a story about Charles Dickens. And I guess it's like they've intertwined his stories throughout his life, particularly A Christmas Carol. So it's kind of like A Christmas Carol, but a bit more well-rounded and different, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a good film. It was in the cinemas and stuff. Oh, someone famous is in it, I can't remember, but A Christmas Carol. The Man Who Invented Christmas. Another one, obviously can't go without saying, is Love Actually, which I think is going to be the vibe for me this year, because you know how at the start of Love Actually there's everyone hugging in the airport going like, love really is everywhere. That will be my life, because my parents are in London this Christmas, so I will be literally living out my Love Actually fantasy of hugging my parents who I haven't seen in 3 years in an airport. So you know I'll be having that Hugh Grant voiceover in my head when that happens. But obviously Love Actually, many stories all intertwined, although some of them I think are a bit more controversial these days, but I still think it's a good film because it's very 2003, which feels not that long ago, but still so long ago. It's a weird feeling. I was like in primary school at that age, so feels like yesterday. An excellent film recommendation that I feel like is never on these lists is Arthur Christmas. It's animated, it has a lot of famous people doing the voices. It's about Santa's kids, and then there's Arthur, who is not meant to take over, but is he meant for it, etc. Arthur is the youngest son, so he's not necessarily meant to do it, but like, is he? He's really into tech. It's got Hugh Laurie and James McAvoy in it, like voicing it. It's honestly underrated. Like, I feel like so many films like Love Actually and that, you know, they're always on the list. You can't not put them on the list, but Arthur Christmas is honestly like probably up there, if not better than. Never gets the credit. The most British film, I think, quintessentially British film to watch at Christmas is The Snowman. It's actually based off Raymond Briggs' book. It's like a picture book for kids, and they made a film out of it, and it's very cute, obviously about Snowman at Christmas time, with the gift of the magic of Christmas. It's a really interesting animation style because it matches the book, so it's like kind of vintage but not vintage, like trying to look vintagey. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's a really fun one to watch as well. And there's one that I was looking up trying to like think of any that I'd forgotten, and there's one that I didn't watch last year that I really want to watch, so I'm going to put it in this video even though I can't necessarily recommend it, but you can tell me if it's a good idea or not. There's a film called Last Christmas, which has Emilia Clarke in it, who is Daenerys from Game of Thrones. I heard there was a twist in it and people were very like mixed messages about the twist, but I love twists and I love Christmas and I like Emilia Clarke, so I'm like, well, how have I not watched this? So I'll probably watch that this year as well. That's on my to-do list. There is many versions of this, but there is a British version, so don't come for me, but Scrooge. There is a film about Scrooge. Once again, it's going to be a different version of like A Christmas Carol, but it's just a different way of doing it. So there you have it, you have my top British holiday films. Obviously there are some classic Christmas films that aren't on this list because they're, like, I really wanted to put The Grinch on here because The Grinch is personally my favourite because I love Jim Carrey. But like, is it British? Like, it's not set in London, but I wouldn't say it's set in America either. It's kind of, because it's Dr. Seuss. So it's not really like either or, but it's enjoyable. I enjoy it, but there's, yeah. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favourite Christmas movie, British or not? I just thought I've done the Christmas movies before. I wanted to make it a bit more Britishy. You let me know. But it's a bit of a fun one. And yeah, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Remember to hit subscribe so I can see you next time for more festive content. Thank you so much for watching.